Good evening. Today I'm going to be discussing intersectionality and its key role in the feminist movement. Intersectionality is a metaphor which describes the way in which oppressive institutions such as racism, sexism, and homophobia interact and intersect, and therefore can never be examined separately. Intersectionality highlights the fact that the different aspects of a person's identity work together to shape their experience of oppression. It is important to practice feminism intersectionally and to make sure we are aware that women do not all experience sexism in the same way and to the same degree. This means we can provide for the needs of different women and help all women, not just those who are more privileged. Unfortunately, however, mainstream feminism has a long history of not being intersectional. Due to this history of marginalization within the feminist movement, many women, specifically women of color, feel disillusioned with feminism. Intersectionality will hopefully bring us all closer together so we can work side by side as equals. The first use of the word intersectionality was by Professor Kimberly Crenshaw, a scholar of race and feminist theory, in her 1989 essay. The word was invented in order to capture the experience of black women and therefore has its roots in black feminism. A key historical example of intersectional oppression is the case of DeGraffney Reed versus General Motors, which took place in 1976. 3 black women took the General Motors car company to court on charges of compound race and gender discrimination. However, race discrimination was defined as racism towards all black people, including black men, and gender discrimination towards all women, including white women. Because there was no intersectional discrimination laws, the case was thrown out. Intersectionality has also been used when describing the marginalization of women within the black civil rights movement. This, combined with being pushed out of the feminist movement, meant that black women were being oppressed by these equality movements they were trying to work with. This, in turn, led to the creation of black feminism. Feminism must be intersectional. If the movement does not work on behalf of the interests of all women, it's useless. So we must examine our own privilege, we must listen to and raise the voice of those who are less privileged, and we must practice feminism through a broad and inclusive lens. In the United States, women earn 78 cents to the man's dollar. But look at this from an intersectional perspective when we see that black women earn 64 cents to the man's dollar and Hispanic women as little as 54. A feminist perspective on abortion would be pro-choice. A woman has rights over her own body. However, depending on a person's wealth and gender presentation, abortion may not be an option. Abortion activists need to remember the cost of abortion and that not everybody who wants an abortion is a cisgender woman. Women should have the right to exist without fear of verbal or physical attack, both in public and within a relationship. But while heterosexual women have a 35% chance of experiencing rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner, this goes up to 44% for lesbians and 61% for bisexual women. We must also remember that out of all attacks on LGBTQ+ people, half of the victims are people of color. When feminism is not intersectional, it is known as white feminism. White feminism involves the exclusion of women who are not white, cisgendered, able-bodied, etc. Although one can be white and a feminist, while not participating in white feminism, white women are most likely to engage in it. This is because white supremacy tells us that our voices deserve to be heard over others. Every woman's experience of sexism is valid, but the problem arises when the voices of the privileged silence or even dismiss those who are marginalized. Not only do all women deserve to be heard, but the intersections of our identity will cause us to experience sexism differently. Our unique experiences must be heard. We can see many examples of white feminism within the mainstream feminist movement. For example, many of the icons of modern feminism fit a certain narrow standard of women and represent a highly privileged version of womanhood. The problematic elements of these women's activism is ignored, and they're treated as the pinnacles of modern feminism. Meanwhile, women of color who identify as feminists are held to ridiculously high standards of feminism, regardless of their self-identification, activism, and empowerment of other women. Feminism frequently discusses the destructive power of beauty standards. However, the mainstream feminist movement often fails to mention that these beauty standards focus on Eurocentric beauty features, such as straight hair, pale skin, smaller noses, wider eyes, and thinner lips. Intersectionality is the future of feminism, and I also believe it's the future of wider social activism. When it comes down to it, intersectionality is about accepting, including, and listening to each other. The feminist movement and the world will be a better place for it. Thank you very much.